Start again. Hello, guys. Welcome to yet another session with where we get on live with mentors who are currently studying abroad. We understand about their journey, about their life over there, and we try to get as many insights as possible about the study abroad journey and the life after going there. So, my name is Priyank. I'm one of the founders at GradSpace. We are building something amazing for you guys. Please do check out gradspace.in. You can find the link in the description box below. And if you're not following us on Instagram, do follow us on Instagram. That's the place where you will get notified for any other live, Insta live, YouTube live, or any other live which will be going, and many other tips and tricks from our mentors and other free stuffs and other resources which will be helpful for you in your study abroad journey. So, for today's session, we have Siddharth with us. He is currently pursuing his master's in chemical engineering from Cornell University. I'm just inviting him to the live right now. Yeah. Hi,
Sounds
Siddharth.
good.
How are you?
I'm good, Priyank. How are you? So
I'm also
thanks for
good.
the introduction. So as Priyank just mentioned, I'm doing my master's in chemical engineering here at Cornell University. I just finished my first year and I'm into the second year of a 2-year research program. So it's great to be here with GradSpace and to help out guys who are planning to do further studies, especially if you're planning a research track or PhD or a master's kind of thing. I think there are a lot of doubts which people do get. So in any way I can help, it's something which I'm glad to do. So thank you, Priyank. Thanks for this opportunity.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to host you actually. So, coming to the questions, first, let's talk about your application process. Could you just walk us through your application process? How did you shortlist your universities, your SOP process, and how did you apply to them?
Right. So the shortlist. So most of the university deadlines are, December and Jan of the calendar year for fall admits. So I
Right.
started working on shortlisting universities, working on my SOP sometime around September, October. I mean, I wasn't too early, because I had other stuff. My summer was busy, so I started only around September. So the kind of thing I was looking for is, I knew I wanted to do a research-based degree because I was planning to do a PhD, but then since I wasn't sure if I can do a 5-year commitment, I decided to do a master's first before going for a PhD program. So in that scenario, what I was looking for are universities with a very strong research background, and then so I'm into I'm doing surface sciences and soft material, soft matter. So I looked at all the professors who are in that field, the kind of research which goes on, and then I had shortlisted around 8 universities, and then I spoke to my professors, my research guide back in my undergrad university, and other professors, other students, alumni of my college back in India, and trying to I spoke to people, tried to decide which universities I want to join, which are the best in terms of what my future uh, line is going to be. And I had some other stuff like I didn't want to go. I stuck to USA. I didn't apply for other places. I didn't apply Canada or Europe for a bunch of reasons. I think at the end of the day, regardless of how other places are, the best job opportunities or anything is still up here in these United States. So that was one thing. And then those are the main criteria. I didn't really look too much into like location or name of the university that much. It was mostly about professors and stuff. So that was university shortlist, and then SOP. I started working on my SOP. I wrote multiple drafts and then sent it across to some professors. I sent it to my research professor. I sent it to this professor, humanities professor, who to check the grammar, to check the language. I've always been quite. I mean, honestly, writing wasn't a big deal for me because I've written stuff before. I used to do some writing, so SOP
Okay.
writing wasn't that hard. I managed to do it quite easy, quite quickly. But I think a lot of people do get stuck in this SOP process because honestly, SOP is like the first filter. The
Mm.
first main human contact filter. So you, all of these universities, what they do is they have automatic filters for, based on your grade, based on your GRE scores, based on your TOEFL scores. But then the first human contact, where the academic committee sits and decides, the first thing and the most important thing they read is your SOP. So that should be something which is really strong, and that should be something which impresses people, because if you have a really strong SOP and people form an opinion about you, other things can, you can really tide over that in terms of your grades or in terms of your GRE score, etc. So writing SOP, I took some time with it. I took nearly a month and a half with it, just fine tuning it. uh, and then LORs. So I had my research professors, I had other professors who I was close with at college, my internships. So my LOR was sorted. So I mailed them quite early and I told them that I'm applying and need your LORs. All of them were happy to oblige. I was lucky in that sense. So then came GRE, TOEFL. I had given all of those. I didn't, I mean, uh, I prepped for those things over the summer whenever I had time, and then I gave them sometime around October. I think September and October first week ish. So I gave my GRE TOEFL during that time, and then I got the grades, and then applications started basically after my seventh semester ended, so mid December ish. Uh, and then, so I had my SOP ready, LORs ready, I had my grades ready, I had my transcripts, everything. I got all of that done, and then it was a pretty straightforward process after that. So yeah, so that's just an overview. Maybe when we get to later questions, I can get a little more into detail about each of these things.
Right. Yes, yes, sure. So, how has been your journey so far in the US?
It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work because the kind of the educational system with the pedagogy over here, in terms of how people approach courses, are drastically different from how we do back in India. Here,
Mm.
it is almost guaranteed that you have to do regular, nearly daily or at least once or 2 days, you have to work on each course. Whereas in India, we used to chill around for a lot of time, and then near the exams, near assignments, we used to rush and get it done. That kind of stuff doesn't work over here. So that was a steep
And
learning.
we can copy assignments over in India, but not in the US, right?
Yeah, that's definitely not going to work over here. So
Yeah,
you have a lot of these, tutorials, and you have these weekly assignments and stuff, which you can copy, but it's not going to help you, because if those are bad, your exams are going to be much worse. So, but then you have these regular office hours which happen every week, both the professors with TAs, and the idea is that you're supposed to go. In India, we used to chill. We never, at least back in my institute, we never used. People never really cared about office hours and stuff like that. Over here, everyone does go to office hours. You focus on that. It is a regular semester-long process. So it's not like in India where we have like spikes near exams and mid-semester, semester times, and then it's chilling and doing all the other stuff. I mean, it is even in undergrad, that is how it's supposed to be to an extent, because you need free time to check a lot of stuff.
explore
But
other things.
yeah, but the moment you
Yeah,
come into graduate school, that means your priorities are set. So you need to know what you're working on, and you need to know that to get to that place, you gotta, you know, the effort must be constant throughout the semester. So yeah,
so
it's been great.
where was your UG from in India?
So I did my undergrad in chemical engineering from IIT Gandhinagar.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm from IT Kharagpur.
oh, all right. So one of the from the same system, basically.
Yeah,
So so you so you definitely have an idea what I'm talking about when we say that we don't
yeah,
really,
right.
you
Yeah,
at least I'm not sure about other universities in India, but pretty sure I'm pretty sure it's all the same across India, where
yeah.
they kind
The
of
spikes are generally in the exam season only, and
yeah,
apart from that, all chill.
yeah, that's true. So I mean, over here, I mean, it is definitely, there is a difference between an undergraduate program and a graduate level program. So there is definitely higher expectations, more work, and maybe a higher rewards too. So that way. So, but that's my coursework. But then, majority of my second semester onwards has been dedicated to research. So I'm doing a thesis based course. So at the end of my second year, I'm supposed to do a thesis and maybe write a paper and present, do a proper dissertation. So uh, it's a research based course, so most of my time is now spent in the lab and working towards producing original research. So that's great because the kind of research, the approach to research and the approach to sciences is something which is drastically different between India and here in the US. The how you look at problems, how you approach them, the kind of scientific and systematic method in which you go, and how focused are you. Those things definitely do change. So it's been great. It's been a wonderful year, and now another couple weeks, and then the next semester, the second year will start. So it's
Okay.
it's been a ride. Yeah.
How will you compare the research facilities available in India and over there in the US?
So now that's a dichotomy because back in IIT Gandhinagar, we are a young institute, and there's been a lot of emphasis on research. So we have some really great labs back in my undergrad university. I do know for a fact that even in India, we are miles ahead of a lot of the other universities. And I
Right.
can honestly say that the lab facilities here in USA is much better than I had back in my undergrad. So you can definitely assume that it means it's still miles ahead of other Indian universities. So it's been great. The kind of facilities we have everything is within university. Whatever equipment you need tunneling electron microscopes, you need spectrometers, you need QCM machines, you need any sort of thing. Most of them I have in my own lab, and if I don't have in the lab, we have central facilities in which I can go and use them. So it's been great. There's definitely not been any sort of uh, money or absence of equipment has never stood in the way of research. So it's always been there, and if it's not, just people just buy it. So it's that kind. There is
Okay.
definitely a lot more money in research. So.
Okay. Okay. And how is the online classes going on? Do you, did you attend any online classes?
So yes, the second half of my second semester, the previous semester,
Hmm.
was online. So I mean, everything was happening over Zoom. It was a steep learning curve for most professors, because that was when online classes as things started. So but to an extent, it's hard because I mean, especially if you're doing graduate level engineering courses, it's not something which online isn't the best medium for it. But I mean, it would be different if you're doing courses
Right.
in which it's a purely text or purely lecture based thing. Whereas when you have
Theoretical.
engineering concepts in which there's a lot of math involved, there are equations you got to write, there's something. I think there was definitely that disconnect. Whereas if I take I taken other courses like I taken a management course and I taken some simple seminar type courses in engineering
Or
itself.
non-research courses.
Right. So it's something which doesn't involve heavy math and heavy, sciences, physical sciences. So those courses, online courses, was a breeze. There was not much difference. But yeah, I mean, it's a learning curve, and it's we gotta go with the times. And so Cornell, at least for the next semester, they have planned a hybrid system. So in which some
Hmm.
courses will be in person, socially distant. So there'll be specific marked places where students can sit, and masks are compulsory, and this and that. And then some courses are online only. Some courses would be, few days would be in person, few days would be online, and there might be batches which shift. So one batch might be online, the other in person, and then few days later they turn. So it's still a work in progress for the most part. So a lot of courses, there are almost there are thousands of courses which happen in the university every semester. So it's slowly clarity is we are getting it in terms of how many people would be there, what kind of courses. But yeah, it's been weird, but it's been good. So
Strange, strange things, right? Who
that's
would
true.
have thought that
That's
we'll be going through these things?
definitely. I mean, up till March,
Hmm.
people barely thought about this. I still remember the date we got the notification that colleges are getting closed, and it's gonna be online only. So that was something early March. So till then, it was
And
all
then
kumbaya.
also, it was like it will be for a week or a month max, and we'll come back.
Exactly.
It's been
And then
4 to 5 months.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, no one really thought that it's gonna end up completely changing the world the way it has, but I mean, it has now, so you gotta deal with it.
we have to live in a new normal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So coming back to the application process, which are the most important factors which you think uh, affects the most in the in the selection process of a top university in the US?
So, like I mentioned, SOP is your main kind of differentiating factor, especially when it comes to human contact. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these things, your GRE scores, your grades, all of those things are quantifiable. It's
Hmm.
you get a score, so someone's score is either more than you or lesser than you, right? And then you have all of your grades, your GRE scores, all of those stuff, all of those things are quantifiable. So in that, you do your best. You got to do it, and those, for the most part, at least in terms of your GRE score, your grades, and all of that, it's mostly a cutoff based thing. So universities only, as long as you clear certain parameters which universities have set for themselves. I mean, it's not common, but you assume that at least about 320 in GRE, about 110 in TOEFL, and at least out of in a 10-point scale, 8 plus, maybe 8.5 plus for some of the better universities. That those are there are universities which take lower than that too. It's based on what kind of applications the universities get, but you have a rough idea, right? Based on where the
Yeah.
university is ranked, what kind of grades you need. So all of those things are mostly just things you have to clear, and once it goes past all of that, your SOP and your LOR becomes your most important tools in your arsenal. So how good your SOP is. So when they read it for the first time, are they interested in it? Are they able to see why you're applying for the program and whether you'll be a good fit for them? And then your LORs, so your LORs are basically testament to how you have done before and why they should take you in. So the people who you're getting your LOR from, what kind of things they have achieved. So definitely a professor at a prestigious university in India, if he gives an LOR, especially if he's done his PhD or something abroad, and been he has knowledge about this kind of pedagogy, education pedagogy. If he gives you LOR, it's definitely great. If you have LORs like industrial experiences, this and that, it matters based on how good those are. So that's definitely there. So honestly, though, everything is important, but I would say especially SOP because that is the one thing you can control. As in, that's the one thing in which you can really shine. Because your grades, you can't change it when you're applying. Your GRE score, this you can study for it, but once you give it, it's done. But your SOP is something which you can really work on, which you can really fine tune. So I would always suggest that when you're writing it, have clarity on how you approach it, how to write it, and do take a lot of suggestions. I went through a lot of drafts before I finally figured out what I wanted to say in my SOP. So, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Apart from these factors, the factors like the location, ranking, fees, living expense over there, how do these factors come into play while applying to an university?
Right. So obviously, one that depends on personal finances.
Hmm.
So are you taking a loan thing? So because overall, university education in United States is expensive. Right. So that's the truth. Until unless you're going for a PhD program, you gotta look at how much it costs and where it does. So I uh, so location matters in two ways. And one is if you're too close to big cities or something, job opportunities are higher, but then living expenses and stuff are also higher. So, for
Hmm.
example, Columbia University is a place which I applied to. Uh, their expenses were really, their fees are also really high. And since it's in Manhattan, the expenses are through the roof. So while I applied for it and I did get their masters, I wasn't interested in going there. It was something I applied just to see if I get in kind of a situation. So that was it's and then financial aid or anything of that sort is pretty hard to come by, and especially up in the northeast, universities up in the northeast, you don't really have TA opportunities or stuff like that where uh, you can get out of it. Mostly grader you can get here and there. That too in Cornell University is pretty hard to get those two. So And even if you do, it's not like your fees are going to be reduced. You're just going to get like a per hour cost and stuff. So, at the end of the day, I would suggest don't apply thinking that, oh, I'll get an internship or I'll get TA position and I'll be able to cover up all of that. At the end of the day, you need to be ready to cover your entire 2 years or whatever, how many ever fees, the entire fees for your program. You need to have financial resources to cover that. How good investment it is, what the ROI is. I mean, it's hard to say, especially with such after COVID, who knows? But
Right.
yeah, so at least when you're planning it, you need to plan that you are able to cover all of it. You get internships and you're able to clear off some of your debt, it's well and good. But yeah, so again, based on your personal finances, definitely some universities you've got a shortlist.
Mm.
uh, Location matters, which state you're in will definitely might matter. So for chemical engineering, some states are better, whereas up in the Midwest or in the Great Plains region, you don't really have a lot of opportunities. So you gotta think of stuff like that too. But yeah,
Right.
overall, I mean, the job market and stuff in the United States is pretty, clear across the country. So you can still get a job anywhere you want. So those kind of stuff aren't that big a deal. So yeah,
It's not just one factor; all the factors combine and
definitely.
like help.
Anything, yeah, 100%. So anything when you're applying or when you're thinking about it, every single thing matters. So you gotta work on finding out which are the pluses and which are the minuses you can deal with, and which of the minuses are deal breakers. And then based on that, you decide your university. Excuse me.
So we have one question from the live. It's
Yeah.
from Ronak. His question is: can I apply for masters in CS in Cornell University or any other universities? As I am from ENPC engineering with GPA around 7.5 and a couple of backlogs, GI score of 320, and have strong SOP and LORs from PhD professor.
All right, so that's a good question. Again, uh, I do not know specific GPA cutoffs and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can still get in with 7.5, but you need to have some other sort of, don't get me wrong, but when I say redeeming factor, so if you have done certain hackathons or Google Bootcamp and you've won those things, or I don't know anything about computer science, so I all I know is some names which from the back of my memory. So if you have won stuff like that, then your grade, your GPA and your backlogs take a backseat. So, but again, it is all across the board. So they don't really say, oh, if it is 7.5 backlogs, you can't get in, but you need to have something to compete against someone with a 9.5
Okay.
GPA. And
So you
the
have to
difference,
compete that
yeah,
lesser.
right. So CS in Cornell is really competitive. The masters in CS program is also the only masters in uh, Cornell University which is stipend based. So they actually give you a stipend even for master students.
Oh, okay.
I remember correctly. Yeah. So it is extremely competitive to get into. Almost like IIT Bombay CSE kind of stuff, but even worse. Because
Mm.
now it's an international body of students who are trying to fight to get their way in. So but don't lose hope. I mean, there is not. I cannot vouch or I cannot say whether you can or cannot. It depends on your resume. You got to talk to professors, and a lot of the people would be willing to help you out. Just mail professors away who you're interested in working with. See if what they think about your profile. Talk to them, and then go ahead with your application. And honestly, at the end of the day, you know, if it's something you want to proceed with, just apply for it. Always have some moonshots you can apply to, and some universities as safety nets, and then some universities where you think you have a good chance of getting. So that is another way of choosing universities. So rough yardstick which I used to use was two moonshots, as in universities which the chance of getting is really low. A bunch of universities which is my proper target, and then some universities, couple of them which were my safety net kind of universities, which I knew
Okay.
honestly that these universities I should get in. So that way you gotta decide, and then yeah, so that's a pretty good yardstick to use.
So your shortlist universities, like some are your safe options where
Yeah,
it's different that you get admissions. some are your moderate options where it's chances that you will get admissions, and some
Right.
are ambitious universities
Right.
where
Exactly.
yeah,
Mhm.
you might get a chance to
Right.
get
But
your
again, yeah. So there are other places where last year students post. I forgot the name of the website where they post stuff like what was their GPA, what was their you know, what are their positions or responsibilities or experiences and stuff, and then whether they got in or did not. So you might want to check out resources like that, and then maybe even check out the present graduate students, and then see if what kind of profiles they have and if yours matches with them or aligns a little closely with them.
So
That's one
we are
option.
also kind of building the same thing where people
Yeah,
can come and look at other people's profile and
right,
can see how they can look at your profile also. How was your profile and you got admits. Look at other
right.
aspirants' profile also if they have got their admits. Right? In
Yeah,
that way, they
so
can assess for themselves
yes,
where
that's great. Yeah,
right.
that's a brilliant thing. Yeah, perfect.
So in the recent trends, people are now applying more to Canada. The
Hmm.
number of people applying to Canada is increasing. So
Right.
if we have to compare between Canada and US in terms of the research opportunities, the job opportunities, how would you like to compare the master's program over there?
So that's a good question. So uh, at least when I was looking at universities, there were maybe like three, four universities which I was serious about applying to in Canada, mostly British Columbia, Toronto, McGill, and yeah, mostly these three.
Mhm.
So, and then there were other issues, as in some of them didn't have a 2 year master's program. I think McGill didn't have a 2 year master's program. There's that. Toronto's engineering program is good, but they're not that good kind of stuff. So, but again, it differs for different you know, fields, different programs. So that is there. And then from job opportunity perspective, so in couple ways, Canada is better because its PR is much easier to get in Canada, and if you
Mhm.
get a job, and then it's much easier to settle down. But then the job market in Canada is a fraction of what it is in the US. Right. So uh, you do get, but it is harder to get in, and as such in chemical engineering there isn't a lot of stuff because most of the chemical engineering roles over there, they are usually preferred for uh, local Canadians, because there aren't as many jobs in this field. So I wasn't really looking over there for my masters. Whereas the US still, regardless of how trends have been over the past few years, you're still, you can still, search and get jobs. So that is there. But again, it depends on different programs, different universities, different
Mhm.
options.
Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. So coming to recent H-1B visa rule changes, how has it affected people studying over there, and what's your mentality and other people's mentality?
So H1B changes again. It's under a lot of confusion. There are still a lot of problems in it. And again, it depends a lot on election cycles and who's winning and who's losing. And right, so but as of right now, H1B is only being paused till December.
Hmm.
So the program hasn't been scrapped, and overall, there is a lot of opposition from American companies to scrap this H1B program. But again, if you do your masters in USA, you have the master's cap, which is another 20,000. So for the most part, it isn't that difficult to get an H1B if you've done your graduate studies over here, as compared to you know working in India and then getting a H1B to come to the USA. That one is harder. But after you do a master's, your H1B isn't honestly that problematic. And plus, you do get 3 years of your OPT and then your STEM OPT extension. So you have 3 years to get jobs and apply and multiple chances before you know you gotta start thinking, worrying about things. So honestly, I don't personally know anyone who's had any kind of problems with this entire H1B thing. It is hard because at the end of the day, you're at the mercy of a foreign government. They can with one day, one notification completely change all your plans. So there is always that risk, but yeah, I mean, better prospects is this is the negativity.
Hmm. Right, right, right. Yeah. So, how should we? So, how should an aspirant applying to next year's fall? Should he be worried about these H1B changes? Because many
Uh,
many students are worried right now.
yeah, no, that is true. So as I said, overall, we cannot predict how this thing is, how this thing is going to move. There are definitely risks, and you know there are definitely things that you need to be keeping in mind before you there are before you make a decision, especially such a large financial decision to do this. But at the end of the day, it just comes back to what are your prospects in India, what are your prospects in other countries, and what are your prospects in USA. Even with such a large risk involved, the payoffs are usually better in the United States, as in you get better jobs here, you get better opportunities over here. Whereas in India, especially after you've just done an undergrad program, your level of mobility within companies is quite limited.
Hmm.
Uh, and the kind of job systems they have in India is changing now, but then especially if you're in like core engineering, chemical engineering kind of stuff, especially for me, it's not a very good ROI kind of stuff in India. Like you're going to be stuck in working in plants and factories and stuff like that. Whereas your prospects are much better in the USA. So in such a situation, you got to think, okay, so this is the risk involved. These are the payouts involved. And do you think it is well worth it to apply and come into such a situation? So honestly, I still think the risk is worth it. But again, it's personal. It's something you have to decide for yourself. Because touch wood, it's such a situation for me that at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, I can always say, you know what, I can go back to India and do something of my own, or whatever, do something like make something with it. But people might not have that same kind of opportunities. So it's a personal choice, but yeah, as of right now, the risk is still worth it, but we don't know, and that's the entire thing. You can't say
Right.
tomorrow morning. I say this tomorrow morning. I can wake up to a notification and say something's been happened. Touch wood. So it's a big mess. Yeah,
Yeah, depends on the elections and how the new
definitely.
president or what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, that's all there. Even otherwise, you don't know what kind of market forces.
Mm.
If all these companies decide they want to stop hiring foreign workers, then it's going to be another thing. It's hard
Mm.
to predict, but the idea is you spend money, you do your masters here, you get a job, and you start earning back that put you get back whatever money you invested and then some, and then after that anything is a bonus, at least according to me. So
Mm, right, yes. And so many people have got their admits and they have deferred it to spring or next year's fall.
mhm.
So, what suggestion would you like to give them? Like, what should they do right now, which will help them in their career overall?
All right, so that's a great question because a lot of the university, especially right now, we know in India, visa interviews are not being done.
Mm.
So almost guaranteed there are going to be no foreign students who are coming this fall. Most of them, I know my own juniors and stuff who are deferred for next semester. So there are options as in, uh, you can start online. You can at least start with your first semester online if that is an option you have. I personally wouldn't suggest it because you'd be pretty much paying the same fees. They're not gonna say, they're gonna take lesser fees from you just because you're staying in India and working on it. And then you wouldn't have the same kind of experiences you have because your first semester year is when you really get into the feel of it. And if you're staying in India, that doesn't work. So if
Mm.
you do decide that I'm going to defer it, I'm going to go into spring or next fall, then you have 1 year or 6 months with you in India. And so the idea is you can't just say, COVID was there, I got to admit I deferred it. So you got to do something with your time out there. So, you know, there are always a popular option, doing Coursera and EDX or other MOOCs and, developing yourself as a, making yourself more employable, learning skills, learning coding, doing anything, working. You can always get an internship or something. Social service, go do something with it. Any of these things you gotta do such that you're not sitting idle. You're not whiling away your time because sure you must have after you finish your undergrad in April, May, June, you still would have had 2, 3 months where you had time to relax. So don't spend the time just thinking about joining here in January. The few months you have in between, make use of that time because one, it is genuinely helpful. You're gonna learn stuff. You have time with you to do stuff, and two, you have something to show for this time because
mm,
the worst mistake you can do is not having anything to show for some time that you have because there are people will always be working, and if you have to be in this race with them, you also have to work, and that is how it is. That's the truth. I would
that's
suggest
how the
I would suggest internships or learning something, doing courses, developing yourself as a person. Yeah,
right developing a skill set which will further help
definitely,
you,
definitely, 100%.
right? Or either go for some internships or jobs
Yeah,
for 6 months a year, right?
right.
Right. And some can you give some points for the people because many people right now are also preparing for their GRE.
Right,
For applying the top university, they need at least 315, 320 in GRE, right? You can
right.
just give them some for that.
So GRE, the kind of thing I did was predominantly. So what I did was we use flashcards. You have apps for it. I don't know if I should
Mhm.
say the name of those apps, but you have
It's
common
Marcus.
apps. Yeah, Magoosh. So those are common apps in the Play Store and App Store. So you can download that, work on those flashcards. And so what I did was when I was applying, we had a bunch of friends who were all were applying. So what we used to do is we used to practice with each other. So
Mm,
e- each one used to quiz the other. We used to try to get those words into our language. When we were talking, we were trying to incorporate those words, and
mm,
that, and then that is the verbal part. So it's basically practice and just getting used to those words, and reading stuff, reading books, reading paper, and because see, at the end of the day, it's not something you can learn for 3 months and just go get the exam. You can do that. You're
mm,
not going to learn to work. So you got to start making a habit of using those words, of actually trying to understand what the point of the GRE exam is. And the quant part is basically testing your accuracy because I think all of you who are learning would know that overall the math or whatever is being asked in GRE is basic, 10th standard level kind of stuff. So that is not what is being tested. It's not, they're not testing your math skills. They're testing your accuracy, they're testing your speed, and they're testing how you work under pressure because it is the biggest thing is the time crunch because it's all basic logic and math questions. So the thing is you have to keep practicing to ensure that you don't slip up making silly mistakes. You have enough time where you can work a question, finish the entire set, come back, recheck, and that is how you learn, that is how you improve your accuracy. So for that it's all practice, and for the most part there are some fixed patterns of questions which come up. So I don't remember them right now, but I do remember that from the GRE practice books which are there are some questions which follow fixed pattern. The bell curve question is one of them. How 17, 34, 50, how
mm.
it splits.
Yeah.
Those are some standard things which are asked. You have stuff like that. So which when you practice those, you have an idea. So the moment you get those questions in your actual GRE, you know how to solve them. So once you just got to practice. The quant part is basically that you just got to practice to improve the accuracy. So
Mm,
yeah,
right.
those are your general tips. Don't stress too much. That's one thing which I'll say because at the end of the day, it's only going to be a little harder than the English or something you're supposed to be used to, studying in a English medium university,
Mm,
which most Indian universities are now. So that is something just a little bit better, more English than what you're used to. So don't stress out too much, and then when you learn it with with a little more confidence, you can actually remember those words better, and you know your vocabulary will also grow. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So I guess we can end our live with that.
That
It's
sounds
been
great. Well,
wonderful session with you. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for taking out your time and doing this.
yes, thank you. So it's the thing you've started, grad space, is something which is really great. I don't think I had anything of this sort when I was applying last year. So I would definitely suggest people to use this feature, take the time out to ask questions from students like me who are here in the United States or other places. And yeah, all the very best, everyone, for your applications, for your future endeavors, and hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy. Thank you, Priyank.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, everyone, for the live session for joining in. So, in the description box below, you can find the links of our website. Do check it out. You can find my WhatsApp number there. Do reach out to me. Feedbacks and suggestions from you guys. Hello, hello. I was saying that thank you so much, guys, for joining in. For other links such as our website links, our Instagram link, you can check it out in the description box below. And you can also find my WhatsApp number over there. Just ping me over there. We're looking for more feedback, suggestions. You can share your problems with us. It will really help us to build the product in a much better way. And yeah, that's it. That was a great season. Thank you, Siddharth. Let's end the session.